Alright, hello everyone. I hope you are doing well. Well, lately, you may have noticed that there are quite a few discussions circulating around Kaspa, and this is a topic that has been coming up quite often under my videos. Many of you are asking me if I think that Kaspa has already reached its peak, if we might be on the verge of a crash with Kaspa, or what should be done. Should we sell and perhaps move everything to another crypto? Or on the contrary, are we once again at a good entry point, and therefore a good opportunity, either to make a first entry into it, or to load up a bit more on Kaspa? So today, we are going to take a comprehensive look at the situation, and I will show you data and recent information. We will look at the chart. There you go. As usual, you know. And this way, you'll have all the information to decide what to do about. Well, to start with Kaspa, to provide a complete update on the situation, from my side, as you know, it is the first line of my wallet today. Kaspa is roughly what my wallet is worth. And so, it is in first position, ahead of Bitcoin, which is worth Ethereum, which is worth, and Tau, which is worth, in my wallet. So already, if what interests you is to know what I am doing with Kaspa, well, there you have the answer. And therefore, on my side, I am not selling any Kaspa at the current levels. And to give you some context, I must have positioned myself on it for the first time around March 2020. So basically around, and then behind, you know, since we have a nice upward momentum, I simply applied my strategy of buying all the major dips. So, that is to say, as soon as we approach the weekly moving average or the weekly moving average, as is the case right now, with a nice support from the price on the 50 moving average, and so, since I am bullish on Kaspa in the long term, every time we have this kind of pullback, I take the opportunity to reload and strengthen my position on Kaspa in terms of performance. Since the first entry, we are almost at X, and since my first entry into it until the all-time high, which was around, well, simply put, since the first entry, it has almost multiplied by X. So I know that there are quite a few people telling me that it's already too late, that Kaspa is already too capitalized, and that it's no longer worth investing in, and so everything. To address this, I will show you a lot of data, plenty of information. And as I mentioned, this way you will have all the information to decide whether or not you still feel that investing in Kaspa is a good plan. So where to start? First, let's take a look at the technology. Since I was a bit lazy to research everything on the website and really didn't want to forget any information, I asked our friend ChatGPT to summarize all the positive aspects we have about Kaspa in terms of technology. So what is interesting is that we had a fair launch, meaning there was no pre-mining and no private distribution. So, unlike many projects where a portion of the tokens is reserved for private investors, which is particularly common in the current cycle, there are many projects that launch with an already huge market cap or have really poor tokenomics. So on Kaspa, there is also no funding from Davchi. From this perspective, it is really very positive compared to other projects. So that means that on Kaspa, we have a launch that is truly fair and comparable, for example, to what happened back in the day with Bitcoin. On the technology side, we have an innovative technology called block, okay, DAG. So basically, unlike traditional blockchains, the advantage of the block DAG is that it allows for processing multiple blocks in parallel, which ultimately improves transaction speed while maintaining good auto security. So for those who have already tested the blockchain, I really encourage you to form your own opinion by visiting each of the blockchains and creating a wallet to interact with. And so, on Kaspa, you can for example go through the Kaspa bot. I will also provide the link below the video that will allow you to buy KRC tokens, and you will see that the transactions are almost instantaneous. And there are virtually zero fees. So at the same time on Kaspa we have good decentralization and a network that is truly very secure. And this is particularly reflected in a significant increase in hash rate. And there you can see that the hash rate is only going up. So this is really very positive for the network. And on the technology side as well. So we are on a proof of work consensus. So what if I show you the top proof of work cryptocurrencies by market cap again? Well, today, Kaspa is the 5th largest cryptocurrency with about $3.6 billion in Python market cap. And if you look at the cryptocurrencies ahead, see what you think. But I find that Kaspa has nothing to envy them. So we have Litecoin in 4th position, valued at $5 billion. Then we have Bitcoin Cash in 3rd position, valued at $6.3 billion. And in 2nd position, we have Dogecoin with $16 billion. And in 1st position, of course, we have the boss. We have Bitcoin with $1,220.5 billion. And there you have the goal. It's not about competing with Bitcoin either. Well, I don't think there is anyone serious who believes that today, in this Kaspa cycle, there is a possibility of surpassing Bitcoin. But in any case, if we consider all the others, quite frankly, you can tell me what you think. But as I said, I find that there is really nothing to envy about them. And even so, it's true that Dogecoin is a bit different because it's also a meme coin. And if we take Litecoin or Bitcoin Cash, for me, Kaspa should be well ahead of those two. So then, to continue on the characteristics and advantages of Kaspa, we have a project that is open source and community driven. As mentioned, there is no pre-mining and no pre-sale. Transparent distribution model, since the distribution of tokens occurs solely through mining. So here there is no staking, there is no something else involved. There are only two ways to obtain Kaspa. Either you mine it or you buy it from someone. So what I also wanted to show you at the same time is that on the tokenomics side, and in that regard, it is also a great strength of Kaspa. And with Kaspa we have a reduction in inflation, so we can say that it is more or less comparable to a halving on Bitcoin. And so this reduction, instead of happening every 4 years like on Bitcoin, occurs approximately every month. And so currently we are at this point and we are creating about 60, 10, 8 Kaspa for each new block. Just over 2 years ago, for example, here in June 2020, there were 415 new helmets being generated with each block. And if we project ourselves a little into the future, for example here, a bit anywhere in January 2020, well, at that moment, there will only be 10 new cases generated per block. On the long-term chart side, you can see it clearly. It's extremely positive. It's very dynamic. We have a great long-term upward trend. And so on that front, that's also why I've been telling you for a long time that for me, Kaspa is the new Solana of this cycle. So of course not in terms of technology, since there are still differences, but in any case, in terms of hype, in terms of potential, you can tell me what you think. But for me, Solana is really the cryptocurrency that marked the previous cycle. And I consider that Kaspa is the cryptocurrency that will mark this cycle. And even though it is true that it has already increased significantly today, and you have also seen why, it is also because there was no pre-sale, there were none of those kinds of things. So we had a launch that really started from zero. Unlike many cryptos, as we have seen, that are launched with $2, $3, $4, or $5 billion in market cap. As you can see, Kaspa really started from scratch. And so naturally, since it is a good project with many advantages, and its technology is quite revolutionary, there is a strong upward trend in terms of price, and most pullbacks are quickly bought back. So on the chart side, if we really look at the short term with the ongoing correction, we once again have support on the 50-week moving average. So for me, once again, we have a great opportunity to reposition ourselves on Kaspa, and once again, I will probably take the chance to buy a little more Kaspa. And for everyone who is worried about whether there will be a crash, or I don't know what, Sozios. What's going on? Quite frankly, there are no signs of a crash on Kaspa. And for all those who say that almost nothing has been happening for several months, I remind you that the last ATH, all-time high, was at the end of July to the beginning of August. So we need to put things into context. It was barely 2 months ago. So in terms of potential moving forward, the first objective will be to return and test the ATH, all-time high, around. And then for me, the next big resistance will be at the 1,618,50,000 level. This gives us a target of 0.128. So if I show you everything again for the future, in any case, the target that I will aim for, which will be my last TP on Kaspa, will be around. So here it is, without going into all the details of the plan, but basically starting from $1, I plan to take profits quite regularly. So for example, 150 to 250 for the last target. And so, to conclude the video on this note, with a supply that we round to around 20.5 billion tokens. So in terms of potential, well, 20.5 billion tokens. Times that makes about $62 billion in market cap. So to place you in relation to the previous cycle, if we take the ATH, all-time high, of cryptocurrencies in November 2021, at that time, for context, we had Solana in 4th place with $15 billion. For example, Cardano was in 6th place with $60.7 billion, and we had XRP in 7th place with $50.7 billion. So to conclude, why do I think that Kaspa can reach 250 and therefore achieve a market cap between $60 and $65 billion? Well, simply because in the previous cycle, the total ATH, all-time high, of cryptocurrencies was around $3,000 billion. So, taking into account the development cycle after cycle, I have defined 3 objectives for this bull. A first objective in the case of a rather bearish scenario. So with a bull run that would be rather calm, around $500 to $600 billion. So compared to the previous bull run, it's roughly an increase. The second target will be in the case of a so-called normal bull run. In the case of a moderate bull run, it would aim for $8 trillion in cryptocurrencies, which would be approximately X compared to the previous bull run. And the third objective here is really in the case of a bull scenario. So it is to reach $10 trillion in total market cap for cryptocurrencies. This would represent approximately X compared to the previous bull run. So there you have it. You understand it well. On my side, I remain very, very positive about Kaspa. It's been over a year and a half since I started investing in it. And in a year and a half, as I showed you, I bought every possible dip on it. So I turned a very small position into the largest position in my wallet. And so once again, as you have seen, there are no negative signs regarding Kaspa. I believe that we are in a good reloading opportunity. Therefore, I remain very confident and very positive about Kaspa. My goal is still to see Kaspa around during this bull run. So there you have it, friends. That's it for this video on Kaspa. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't hesitate to like it, comment, and subscribe to follow more.